Got a little black hoodie on, check. Little black hat on, check. Welcome to another marvelous episode. On today's docket, first and foremost, I want to apologize for not going live yesterday. I did have to move, so sorry about that. I am in a new location. I know it doesn't look like it, but I still have the same background in a new location. But I think we got a really loaded show for you guys today, so let's get into what's on today's docket. So, for our Into the News segment, we want to talk about Wisconsin, and they got hit with a few NCAA recruiting penalties. A lot of this stuff is self-imposed. Y'all know how it goes. Greg Sankey and Brian Kelly speak up about the future of college football. We want to talk about that. NFL making bold moves. I think HBCU football is coming to fruition. A shout out to my boy Moon. World of College Football is one of the best shows actually out there right now, to be honest with you. And he doesn't just talk about the FBS. I know this show we primarily talk about the FBS, but he will talk about the FCS, and he also talk about HBCU ball. So shout out to him. And then Florida legend Rex Grossman gives some truth on how he feels about DJ Lagway and his expectations for him the upcoming season. On our Governor React segment, we're going to look at ESPN's SEC predictions. Texas winning the SEC, that's interesting. Georgia reloading again. Florida only going 6-6, and you know I've got receipts for that. I can't wait to talk about that. I think ESPN is so wrong with this tape. Governor Rewind, we want to look at Lindy Sports, his magazine season. They did a look back, and they looked back at the last 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, and 50 years. Where were we at during that current time in college football? So that'll be the Governor Rewind segment. And then lastly, we're going to look into Around the Nation, Lindy's all Big 12 teams. There's a couple people that I'm really pissed off about, and Sawyer Robertson didn't make a first, second, or third team, so we're going to talk about that as well. Governor of College Football, hashtag go CFB. CFB Nation, your only college football destination. Let's get it. Governor of College Football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's CJ
defensive minds. They have to be better on that side of it. It's been a while since we did an early morning segment. You guys know we live at 4 p.m. every day. I want everybody to know we're 3 shows today, 2 of which will be Governor of College Football. I'll be live now until 10 o'clock. You guys know I do hour shows. And I'm also going to live again at 4 p.m. because I'm still giving the good people of the college football world 4-hour-long episodes every week. I don't care what happens. I had to move yesterday. Cool. Well, you got to do 2 episodes a day. And then also tonight at 8:15 Eastern Standard Time, me, D-Now, and Nino will be live for Overreaction Monday on a Tuesday, because Tuesdays kind of fit all of our time slots best right now. So 3 shows today. Make sure you guys are locked in, man. The CFB Nation, make sure on YouTube at the CFB Nation, also at the CFB Nation, the CHE CFB Nation on Twitter. Me, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube yet, it's at Governor of College Football. And I'm excited about what we got going on here. We got so much going on in the next few weeks. Is about to really get locked and loaded. We are going to Big 12 Media Days. We're a few weeks out from that. That's we're, I think, flying down there on July 7th. We're going to all meet in Charlotte and then fly down there on July 7th. So we'll be there the 8th and 9th for Big 12 Media Days. Then we're going to ACC Media Days. We got approval emails for both over the last couple of days. We'll be going to ACC Media Days. I believe that's July 22nd through the 24th. So we'll be there. And then a week after that, we have to head to Mount Union, a Division III program, because that's where Toledo's having their their fall camp at. And we are going to be doing a docuseries with Toledo. So we got a lot of interesting stuff coming up for you guys. So stay tuned, man. I promise you, man. The people that I work with on CFB Nation, these dudes really know ball. They're really a lot of heavy, playmakers in the independent college football space. And some of the things that I see D-Now and Moon do as it pertains to linking up with these schools, talking to SIDs, making things happen behind the scenes, they're great at. I feel like the reason why we've been able to grow is because we all play our role. We all play our position. I think that's why we've been so cool. So enough about that. Let's get into the news. We got a lot to talk about today. So first things first, Wisconsin hit with NCAA penalties for recruiting violations. Madison, Wisconsin, the NCAA has issued a $25,000 fine and a 1-year probation to Wisconsin after confirming level 2 recruiting violations involving impermissible calls to recruits. According to the Wisconsin State Journal, 9 Badger staffers made 139 recruiting calls and broke communication rules. 117 of those came before permissible contact period, with 22 or more exceeding allowable limits during spring recruiting windows in 2023. While the rule in question was updated on August 1st, 2023, that didn't exempt Wisconsin from the penalty. Luke Fickle and outside linebacker coach Matt Mitchell are barred from recruiting contact through June 21st, so they're still barred for the next few days. Former defensive line coach Greg Scruggs received a 1-year show cause and suspension for 1 game, while Max Steinbacher, who's now at USC, was hit with a show cause of its own. UW, Wisconsin, they self-reported violations and emphasized their integrity in a public statement. We identified the mistake and were proactive. The school said Fickle enters year 3 in Madison after a 5-7 campaign last season, and a complete offensive rehaul, moving Phil Longo's air raid and bringing in Jeff Grimes from Kansas to stabilize production. My initial thoughts about this is a lot of times with the NCAA, you'll get a slap on the wrist. You start to self-sanction yourself or say, hey, we come to the mercy of the court. That's a lot of times what's truly going to happen, that they're not going to give you really a stiff penalty. In college football, and in the era of college football and now, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. So we know that you technically aren't allowed to tamper with players, but it happens anyway. You know you're not allowed to illegally contact recruits, but it happens anyway. These things happen on a daily basis. It's whether or not you get caught or not, right? When we look at the grand scheme of things, it really comes down to, are you caught? You caught, you deal with it. If you're not caught, you continue to do it until you're kind of caught. You know what I mean? So we've seen Michigan with self-imposed sanctions. We've seen Tennessee over the last few years with self-imposed sanctions. This is how you throw yourself at the mercy of the court, praying for a lighter sentence. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. And this happened, I think, in Luke Fickle's inaugural season in Madison. I think that's what makes this thing interesting. Like, he got there. We know Luke Fickle as a culture builder. Things have not worked the way that we've expected them to work during Luke Fickle's tenure in Madison. And yes, he was handling a contract extension this past off season, but that doesn't mean he's exempt from that seat being hot. I believe his seat is hot. And though I'm a huge Luke Fickle fan, I love what Luke Fickle was able to do during his tenure in Cincinnati. And I do believe he can bring success to Wisconsin. And I bet you it took a lot for him to leave the air raid. You know, Phil Longo, who's a brilliant mind. I think Phil Longo, I want to see he's in Conference USA now. So to get Jeff Grimes from Kansas, you're going to have a balanced run game. I like who they got at quarterback in Billy Edwards Jr. So I'm just interested to see. But when you start to get sanctions like these and you're not getting the results on the field, that's when things start to really come into, hey, what are we doing here? What's going on here? That would be my thought instantly. What the hell is going on here? How do we right the ship? How do we get this right? That's the first thing that would be on my mind. So that's Wisconsin news. Moving on, Greg Sankey wants humans in the playoff room. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey voiced strong support for keeping a human selection committee in charge of the college football playoff decisions, pushing back against growing calls for computer-only models. Yes, the governor, I am guilty of it. I said I want computer-based models. And some of my issue with the selection committee already. So ESPN pretty much owns the college football playoff. They own the viewing rights for it. ESPN and SEC have a strong relationship. And I'm not saying that, that the committee didn't get it right, but I will prefer the computers. A committee has the ability to be swayed, in my opinion. You can't sway the computer. The computer is going to say what the computer is going to say based on the algorithm you input. If strength of schedule is numero uno, and that matters the most in that, well, by golly, that should really what matters the most. But you cannot sway the computers. With this, and you look at the relationships, SEC has the strongest relationship with ESPN. It is what it is. They make them a lot of money. So, of course, I think Greg Sankey is going to want humans in the playoff room. I think that's how we got Alabama in the college football playoff back in 2023 when we had an undefeated Florida State team who went 13-0. And I know they got hands and feet placed upon them by Georgia in the bowl game that they were in. But you win your conference, you go 13-0, you should have been in a playoff. So I get why Greg Sankey still want humans, and I'm not 100% against it. But if you ask me my preference is 100% the computers. I don't want anybody's opinion to have the ability to be swayed. At the end of the day, the teams that we earn based on the metrics and the algorithms that you all have come up with, those should be the teams that should be selected to go into the college football playoff, bar none. And that's just what I think 100%. Brian Kelly, straight seeding is a start, but it's not enough. I think straight seeding is a start. I think it's pointing in the right direction. I don't think your conference affiliation should matter or guarantee you an auto bid. Is for one of the top 4 teams. The top 4 teams are the top 4 teams based on the criteria that are set. So if you are Georgia and you go undefeated in the regular season and you lose to Texas, in the SEC championship, that shouldn't automatically put you down at number 5. Hell, why can't Texas and Georgia both be in the top 4? So I love straight seeding. I agree with him. But I want to kind of see where Brian Kelly goes here. LSU coach Brian Kelly echoed a similar sentiment, applauded the move to straight seedings after last year's playoff controversy. A lot of us didn't like the auto bids. We just didn't. It led to an unfair and unbalanced playoff system. And if you look across all of the other sports, higher seeds play lower seeds. It is what it is. But with the auto bid system, it was kind of a break in the system. Penn State got to play SMU round 1, got to play Boise State round 2. Oregon won their conference, undefeated. The only undefeated college football playoff team, and their kind of gift for being undefeated was playing Ohio State after a bye. So that wasn't cool. So I like straight seeding, and hopefully we could just get this right. But if you look at the right-hand column, shame on you. So Brian Kelly was saying, but emphasizing the need for context and evaluating schedules and losses, I think a lot of us agree that, hey, the numero uno metric for whether a team is a playoff team, the gauntlet that they play, the gauntlet that you go through in the ACC, even though I love the ACC near and dear to my heart, it isn't the same as the gauntlet in the SEC. So your strength of schedule should be numero uno. I agree with that as well. The college football playoff is now looking at future changes with models like the 4-4-2-2-1 and the 5+11, which a lot of people hate, circulating among conference officials and possible expansions. NFL embraces HBCU cultures with games and pro stadiums. Every year, CFB Nation, we do a HBCU week, and I truly enjoy the HBCU week, and I enjoy a lot of the themes that we do. We go to we've been to Division III games, we've been to Division II games, FCS games, FBS games. We just love the game of college football. But some of the best environments I've been in have been at those HBCU environments. I can't wait to go to a Atlanta game. My boy Moon, it's like he goes to those games every weekend because Moon's crazy. Moon will go to like 3 games in one day. Like, bro is just wired differently. And he'll be at one of the biggest FBS games. He'll be at a Clemson game. Then you catch him at like a Clark Atlanta game. And then he went to like a Jacksonville State game. He did all of that in one day. So it's crazy. But I love that the NFL is embracing HBCU culture. And I think we're starting to see, and I think with a lot of the coaches coming back, or a lot of former players coming back to these HBCUs or going to these HBCUs as head coaches has really helped the game. We see Deion was able to kick it off. That Eddie George, Ed Reed was supposed to be, I don't know if it was Bethune-Cookman or Florida, and it might have been Bethune-Cookman. Things didn't quite pan out there, but now we see Deshaun Jackson is at Delaware State. We see Michael Vick is at Norfolk State. So I think HBCU sells. All of the HBCU games I've been at, they've all been packed out. And yes, they can pack out NFL stadiums. I guarantee you. Like, we see the Celebration Bowl. Look at how much the Celebration Bowl has grown over the recent memory. So seeing Moon even there a year ago, and to see what the media frenzy looked like, in December 2023, to see what it has looked like in December 2024, it has certainly grown. So I love to see this. So it's kind of dope. So I'll give you the games that will be in NFL stadiums. So Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, we got Mississippi Valley State versus Florida A&M. Those are 2 big brands, in in the HBCU realm. My boy D now called me, and Nino had said this as well. He's like, yo, you or Moon got to take me to an HBCU game. I was like, bro, you got to go see a game at Clark Atlanta and Howard homecoming week. Yes. HU, come up here. I'll show you around. You're going to enjoy it, because at Howard, so in the DMV, if y'all don't know, I'm from the DMV. I was born in Southeast DC, but I was raised in Oxon Hill, Maryland. That's where the Lever in my name comes from. It's Lever Street, a single ass manor. It was crazy around there, but I enjoyed the neighborhood I lived in. But if you're from this area, you know something called go-go music and what that means. So when you go to a Howard homecoming, a lot of times you'll see the go-go bands are down there, and it's just a feeling like we love go-go music a lot just because of the live element and the percussion and all of that. But like it's an event. So hopefully D now gets to go to not only a Clark Atlanta game. I want to go to a Clark Atlanta game too, because I haven't been, but also Howard homecoming. Hopefully I get to take him there. So it's just great to see this. Another game we got. Jackson State has been a brand that has grew a lot since Dion has been in. Even after he left, it's still a big brand in the sport. They're playing at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Jackson State versus Grambling State. Those are two mega schools. When you think about HBCU football, Grambling State is probably one of the first schools that comes to mind if you've been watching college football for a very long time. So this is a mega game, and I think they'll sell a lot of tickets for this game as well. And then at Lincoln Financial Field in Philly, you think about the soul of Philadelphia, the music artists that come from Philadelphia. There's a myriad of artists, both, who are actors or, R&B singers and rappers that come from Philadelphia, and they're getting a game like Norfolk State versus Delaware State November 1st. I think that's where I want to be November 1st. Lincoln Financial Field to see Deshaun Jackson versus Michael Vick come back home to Philadelphia. Do you think they can't sell that game? You think they can't pack that out? Do you know what the media frenzy is going to look like for that game? Super excited about this. So this is more than just a venue shift. It's recognition of the pageantry, the fan culture, national draw of HBCU football. I had the pleasure before I transferred to Salisbury University, which is on the Eastern Shore in Maryland. I went to Bowie State University, and I truly enjoyed my years there. It was just, I wanted to get a little bit further away from home, just to kind of like see some other things and be kind of 2 hours and some change away from home, and just have new experiences. But, having that experience, seeing what the Greek life is like at these HBCUs, I think a lot of times it's kind of one of the best kept secrets, in college football, because a lot of people don't know about it, and you kind of got to be in the atmosphere. But the way the bands go at each other, like if you ever seen the movie Drumline, I think that's a real representation of what it's like. I truly do. In other news, Rex Grossman challenges DJ Lagway to rise. Gators legend Rex Grossman sees skies high potential in sophomore quarterback DJ Lagway, and a lot of us do, to be honest with you, but want him to play with confidence, even though I think he did that last year, and avoid overpressing. Florida won 4 straight games to end 2024, including wins over LSU, Ole Miss, and Florida State. But 2025 presents a brutal schedule. Last year's schedule was even worse, with trips to LSU, Miami, Texas A&M, and Ole Miss, plus a neutral site clash, in the world's largest cocktail party with Georgia. Grossman's message: Lagway doesn't need to be a superhero. He just needs to lead. He needs to know he can play in his lead, and there's nobody that they can't beat. And I understand the message. The message is 100% clear. He's just saying, don't try to win the game on every play. But sometimes he's going to have to be a hero. This is the SEC, bro. Sometimes he's going to have to put that cape on, and they're going to need a drive, and they're going to need him to extend plays with his legs and make those wild throws. The reason why we believe the ceiling of DJ Lagway is as high as it is, he's going to have to be a superhero. I think better choice of words, don't try to win the game on every play. Yes, I agree with that 100%. But sometimes he's going to have to put that cape on. Sometimes he's going to have to be Superman, and it's okay. It's okay. If Florida's going to be as good as I'm predicting them to be, yes, it's going to be okay. So let's start into the news segment. Let's go ahead and get right into Governor Reacts. So we got a really good Governor Reacts. Y'all gonna see me get upset. I might get a little bit loud. Hopefully my new neighbors don't mind. In a new space. I know it don't look like it, but I'm in a new space. And I don't know. Let's get into it. Governor Reacts. ESPN SEC record predictions. See where ESPN is predicting your favorite team to finish. So every time I prepare for my show, I have a certain formula in preparing for my show. And anybody who's in this space, I don't mind giving it out. We use Google Docs for everything. That's how, the shows that we do, whether it's overreaction or you see me have a guest on the show, it always starts with a Google Doc. So, for the Into the News segments, I want to see the latest news because I don't care what level of college football fan that watch this show, but I know most of the people that watch this show are the 1%ers that are watching college football 365. But let's say a person is okay with being a casual watcher of college football. I want them to be able to, they work 60, 70 hours a week. They don't got time to be, so, they on their way to work or at work doing some admin work and they got headphones and they want to find out what's going on in the college football world. That's how I set that up. Governor reacts, especially in the off season. I love reacting to other places. I'm not one of those people who I don't like to gatekeep. I've never been like a gatekeeper, so they ain't who I am. So whether it's ESPN on 3, 247, I ain't got no beef with any of these publications. I'm cool with them all. So it's just, so boom. So we reacting today to SEC record predictions by ESPN. Some of these I like. Some of these I hate. Some of these I can't have. I hate 100%. So let's get into it. Texas Longhorns 10-2. If you guys see my post-spring top 25, and I'm going to do another top 25 midway through fall camp. I have to figure out what those live episodes for Governor College Football will be while we're at Mount Union, recording the docuseries for Toledo. I will try to find a way to figure that out. I do have a copy of their practice schedule, so like I said, I just have to figure out a way to do that. But I promise you, you're still getting these live episodes even while we're working on the docuseries. But Texas 10-2, not shabby at all. Texas won the SEC regular season, makes the title game and college football playoff before falling to Georgia and Ohio State. Arch Manning takes over, and this roster is loaded. I agree. I think Texas is the team to beat in the SEC. And I definitely, for now, have them winning the conference. We'll see how things shape out, post fall camp. Fall camp, I think we get more intel. There's a lot of, I equate the spring season and kind of the pre-workouts. I like to call it circuit training. I equate the circuit training in the spring season to right before the NFL draft. And you know how we see all of the smoke screens during that time period, and teams not high on this player, but they really high on this player, and teams love this player. That mean they ain't gonna draft this player. You see a lot of smoke screens. That's what I equate this to. But as fall camp approaches and opens, I think we get more transparency. I think we get more transparency as what your roster construction really looks like, what your depth chart really looks like. Because even though a lot of these teams want to keep that close, there's media who go to these practices and report on that game, and there's insiders. And at CFB Nation, hell, I got Nino and D-Now with me. They gonna find out the information whether y'all like it or not. And there's nothing y'all can do about it, to be honest with you. They gonna find out the information, so we gonna get it regardless. So that's why I say spring is almost like a facade. It's kind of, okay, here's where I'm at based on the information I have now and based on some of the reports that we're getting now, even though you can't believe all of them. But by midway fall camp, we kind of know where everybody is, I think. And I think you get a more accurate representation of that top 25. So I don't even think I had Baylor in my top 25. I did a top 25 now. Baylor will probably be top 12. If I'm being honest, just looking at the talent, the potential, how they finished the season last year, there certainly will be. So coming at number 2 in SEC's predictions, they got Georgia at 10-2, defending SEC champs again, but breaking in a new quarterback room with Carson Beck gone, still elite talent everywhere. I agree. I think Georgia's on the cusp. Georgia's still Georgia. And until anybody else prove otherwise, Kirby Smart is still the best head coach in all of the sport. There's no debate in that. And they'll be in Atlanta. Of course they'll be there. No qualms there. I'm cool with that. Georgia 10-2. So look at us. Me and ESPN agreeing with the first two. 10-2 Texas, 10-2 Georgia. I can see it. Alabama 9-3. Year 2 of the Kalen DeBoer era. These are ESPN opinions. Some high points like the Georgia win last year, but inconsistent quarterback. A quarterback competition led by Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson won the spring. Again, smoke screen. We don't truly know, but in my opinion, he won the spring. He's one of the MVPs of the spring. It's a reason why I'm believing, especially with, Ryan Grubb back, with Kalen DeBoer as his offensive coordinator. There's comfortability there. You look at their wide receiver rooms, one of the best wide receiver rooms in all of college football. One of the best offensive line in college football. You look at Parker Brailsford on the offensive line. You look at Kalen Proctor on the offensive line. Really good offensive line. Just really good team overall. So we'll see. And I agree. 9-3, 10-2. Depend on how you look at it. On the cusp of Atlanta again. On the cusp of the college football playoff. Alabama could indeed make the college football playoff. Make no mistake about it. They can. This team is good enough. When we look back at that 2023 season, That was the year of the Pac-12 for me. There was no conference I was more intrigued by than the Pac-12. And you look at Washington, preseason, we're looking at, okay, Bo Nix, Dan Lannon, they might be cooking something. Caleb Williams, Lincoln Riley, they might be cooking something. We're looking at Utah. We know a Cal Willingham coach team is always going to be there. And then out of nowhere comes Michael Penix and company, and Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb and that wide receiver room. So if y'all think that they can't do that this year, if the Alabama be the team that slept on, I'm telling you, year one, it's different. Like, not saying that Seattle isn't a football town, because I truly believe it's a football town, but football in Tuscaloosa is different. It is king. Your grandmama know more ball than probably your neighbor where I'm at now. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's grandmama in Tuscaloosa can talk more ball than my neighbor could probably talk ball right now. And I don't even know my neighbor. I'm just saying. I'm just making a parallel. Football in Tuscaloosa is king. I think the intel that Kalen DeBoer was able to gain after year one, I think he figured out some things. Like, we always look at that Steve Spurrier quote about Bill Napier heading into the 2024 season. It's like, hey, I think things could be a little bit more tidied up. I think we're going to see Kalen DeBoer more tidied up. I think it's going to be more, harder on these players. I think he's going to be harder on the media. And I think you're going to see this team locked in. And I think he's going to have his Roy Jones moment. Y'all must have forgot. Like, I've won everywhere I've been at. And I know 9-4 don't look good on paper because we in Tuscaloosa. But my first year after, the greatest coach to ever coach in the sport of college football, and maybe ever. Yeah, I'm following that. 9-3. Okay, we're gonna build upon that. And they ain't like they went 6-6 last year. We treated like they went 6-6 last year because there were some ugly losses. Absolutely. The loss to Vandy was ugly. Yes. The loss to Oklahoma was ugly. Yes. We all agree with that. We all know that. But let's stop treating them like they were 6-16. We got to stop doing that. And I'm guilty of it. I do it to teams too. Y'all see me do it to a team in a heartbeat. But yes, Alabama will be on the cusp of an SEC championship, and don't be surprised if they're in the title game. I think Ty Simpson's going to make it happen. And this is when me and ESPN is about to fight. If you're a fan of a team in Knoxville, I want you to go back and look at my Twitter feed and see that I was a huge fan of you guys when you guys were one of the darlings of the sport in 2022. Do not hate me for what I'm about to say, but ESPN got Tennessee going 9-3. What? Huh? Tennessee Volunteers? 9-3 this year? Joey Aguilar, quarterback? A lot of new production offensively, a lot of new production defensively, even though I like the kid Jamar McCoy that they got at corner. He's a stud, but 9-3 Tennessee. Joey Aguilar's really must be picking up this Joey Hazel system, and he must about to be thrilled. And I know Nico Iamaleava didn't play stellar last season, but he played well enough. He did throw 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, was able to make key plays with his legs. And, of course, they relied on Dylan Sampson in the running game, but Dylan Sampson is gone, playboy. And I think Peyton Lewis is a stud. But Tennessee 9-3 ESPN. 9-3? Tennessee who? The Volunteers? They're lucky if they're 7-5 this year. And y'all talking about 9-3? No, I don't agree with that at all. And I know Tennessee is a team of we. I get it. And this is nothing against Josh Heupel as a coach. I think he's a fantastic coach. This is nothing against Joey Hazel as an offensive coordinator. I'm just saying they pulled the plug on Nico. If they was going to do it, they should have did it after the playoff, after he allegedly held out. Don't wait till March. And I understand that some things came to fruition and Nico wanted more money and y'all was just tired of the BS. I get it. Trust me. I get it. But what I'm saying is if y'all was going to put a plug, y'all should have did that sooner. Because now y'all were tampering with people quarterbacks. You're never going to admit to it. But then you go and get Aguilar. Aguilar isn't your first choice. So I don't know if, ESPN is saying this 9-3 is 9-3 because they believe Aguilar is going to produce, or maybe they believe Jake Merklinger is going to be the guy at quarterback. I'm not sure, but 9-3 for Tennessee is high, especially in a loaded SEC. This SEC is loaded. So Tennessee at 93. Here was the ESPN take. Lost Nico to UCLA, but replaced him with Joey Aguilar. Despite turnover, ESPN believe in Heupel's system and Tennessee's stability. 9-3 for Tennessee is bogus, bro. If they go 9-3, I will apologize and eat my words. I promise you I will. I ain't never been afraid. I've had bad takes. We've all had bad takes, but Tennessee it's not 9-3 is crazy. That's crazy. Ole Miss 8-4. I think if it's one team, I think a lot of us are trying to calibrate, kind of like how you calibrate a thermometer, or it's is Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is really tough to gauge because there were so many of us that were so high on Ole Miss last year. And I'm guilty of it. I said Ole Miss would win a national championship. I looked at the roster construction. I looked at the fact that Lane Kiffin had just, lost his pops. I was like, man, he going to dedicate this season to his pops. I thought Jackson Dart was going to click on all cylinders. I love the portal additions that they have in Princeton, Yuma Nealon. And then they had Walter Nolan on the defensive line with Princely. I just really love the makeup of that team. And I'm like, this team is going to be deadly. That was 100% my take headed to this year. Like I said, Austin Simmons, I'm just starting to hear a lot about him. I heard a lot about him during the spring. I've been hearing a lot about him during the spring. And shout out to Ole Miss's football PR because I think they've been doing a really good job pushing this Austin Simmons kid. And then we've seen what Lincoln can do with quarterbacks. And he's always going to have a balanced offense. 8-4, I think if you're just looking at this team and you say, okay, we believe in Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin has proved that he has the ability to win in the SEC. I think 8-4 is reasonable. It's just really hard to gauge this team. I think by fall camp, we'll have a greater idea of where this team is. I just think just when you look at college football, some of the tougher teams to calibrate this season, I think Utah is a really difficult team to calibrate. Where would they be at? Because last year they weren't typically themselves, but, hey, Kyle Whittingham wins, and he's going to figure it out. And it was just year one in the Big 12. So, how would he fare in year two? So I think there's a few teams. Florida State I think is another one of those teams that'd be difficult to calibrate. Change at coordinators. Mike Norvell clearly wants it. He wants to be great. He wants to be on the national stage again. There's just a few teams in college football that are really difficult to calibrate. And not because it's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just hard to gauge. We don't really know where they're at this year. Texas A&M at 8-4. I think that's another team. I think this is another great example of a hard team to calibrate. Mike Elko and company. It was just a game out of the SEC championship last year. Colin Klein, their offensive coordinator. Marcel Reed, they was able to get a great get in the portal. And Casey Concepcion from Raleigh. He was at NC State the last couple of seasons. I like the roster. I really like the roster. Where does Mike Elko go in year two? How much better is this team? And it's crazy because you can look at other conferences and then you see a team on the cusp and a team that is building. And you can say, hey, this team's going to be really good this upcoming season. But the margin for error is so small in the SEC that, we just can't say, oh, this team's returning a lot of production. Oh, Mike Elko and them going to really build off of year one. It's small margin for error. It truly is in the SEC. So 8-4, it sounds right. That's really my only take about it. I like it, but it's just a tough team to gauge. LSU at 8-4. I think if LSU is 8-4 after this season, something just went wrong. And I think fans at Baton Rouge were like, hold on, Governor, 8-4 ain't bad. How you just gonna sit here and say 9-3 ain't bad for Alabama, Kalen DeBoer year one, but now you got a problem with us being 8-4. I don't got a problem with your school at all. What I'm saying is my expectations in Garrett Nussmeier, who was my pick to win the Heisman, my expectations for that defense, my expectations for that offense is explosive. LSU will be one of the most utilized teams on College Football 26. I can guarantee that. And I don't know if EA Sports ever reports these metrics, like, hey, who was the most used team in Dynasty or the most used team in the Road to College Football Playoff? But LSU will be one of those teams a lot of people will be using because they don't really have no chinks in their armor. So I see that. And then I evaluate this and say, if LSU go 8-4, something is not quite right. And I'm not saying that they're going to fire Brian Kelly after an 8-4 season, but I think there are just conversations we need to have like, yo, what is your goal for this team? If not now, then when? Those discussions that we think of James Franklin this year. Penn State go 8-4, we got a problem, bro. Like, a lot of people not comfortable admitting that, but I'm comfortable admitting it. Like, LSU go 8-4, we got a problem. And I know it's the tough SEC, but yo, make the jump. We know it's tough. Go ball. That's all we saying, right? Like, at the end of the day, right? Auburn Tigers 7-5. Another really tough team to calibrate because I love their wide receiver room. I think they got a top 3, top 4 wide receiver room in all of the country. The team is really going to rally behind Hugh Freeze. Jackson Arnold is a stud, man. I don't really think we've seen his best football yet. And I think we're going to see him take a huge jump this upcoming season. He's going to remind a lot of people why, he was so highly regarded in that 2023 stacked and loaded quarterback class. So Auburn at 7-5. I think their fan base will hope for like a 9-3 year, maybe on the cusp of making a college football playoff. 7-5, I think will keep Hugh Freeze there. But I think his seat is a little warmer than people are saying, especially when you look at the boosters, you look at, them to be able to build the roster that they have. This is a really great roster. And another team that I think a lot of people will be excited to use, if you're in a dynasty and you can use any tier team, I think Auburn will be one of those teams a lot of people will be using. It'll be a fun offense to use as well. So Auburn 7-5, really tough to gauge. South Carolina, I feel the same way. South Carolina went 7-5. My belief in Shane Beamer, my belief in Laura Sellers. I don't think that's a great year for South Carolina if they go 7-5. I just don't. Could you see it happening in a tough SEC? Absolutely, but them going 75, I just don't see it. ESPN's take. Lenore Sellers showed out last year, but everyone's circling them now. Transfer support will be key. I think 75, I think all ESPN is doing with these three teams I'm talking about here is with Auburn, South Carolina, and then Oklahoma is next. They're calibrating. They're not sure. They're difficult to calibrate. They want to calibrate and kind of figure out what's the current temperature of all of these schools. I think that's what they're trying to figure out. So South Carolina at 7-5, something went wrong. It just did, if we're being honest. Oklahoma Sooners 7-5. I think this is another school. Brett Venables is coaching for his job this year. I think that's something that Brett Venables has accepted. They got the kid John Mateer from Pullman, offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle from Pullman. So you look at this team, you look at how great this defense was, you look at the fact that Brent Venables will be able to really do what he loves, and that's focus on defense and focus on special teams. They have a brutal schedule. They have the toughest schedule in all of college football. And we're kind of looking at them how we looked at Florida last year. So 75 wouldn't necessarily be a bad year, but I think they're just difficult to calibrate. Missouri, another team difficult to calibrate. ESPN have them at 75. 2 straight 10-win seasons under Trent Wentz, regression expected at quarterback. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see what happens with Missouri this year. Understandable. It's a lot of new faces. I think Missouri, we look at the 2024 season for Missouri. We look at the season that could have been. They had the easiest schedule. If there's a such thing in SEC, I think they had the 29th toughest schedule in the country. And when you're in SEC, you'll take that any day of the week, twice on Saturdays, right? Florida Gators at 6-6. This is preposterous. ESPN, what the hell are y'all smoking? Seriously, like, I ain't even being funny, yo. Like, Florida Gators going 6-6 this year? What? Yo, I'm saying fire Billy Napier if Florida goes 6-6. Even with the tough schedule, I'm saying fire Billy Napier. If they go 6-6, something is wrong. This is his most talented roster yet. It truly is. You look at the offensive line, and I've been looking at offensive line rankings, and some of y'all don't even got Florida in the top 10. Y'all smoking with that one. I think Florida got the best offensive line in all of college football. Look at all of the return of production. They're returning their entire starting offensive line. Jake Slaughter is the best interior offensive line in all of college football, lineman in all of college football, and he will go in the first round in this upcoming draft. You look at the wide receiver room. Look at the 1-2 punch at running back. ESPN Florida at 6-6. How, bro? Seriously, how? Like, what do y'all see? Am I missing something? Let me know in the chat if y'all feel like I'm over-evaluating Florida. I ain't afraid. If y'all really think I'm over-evaluating Florida, let me know. But I didn't see 6-6. They should be in the college football playoff this year. If things go the way that I think they can go, they should be in the college. If they can build off their momentum from last year, DJ Lagway's 100% the starter this way. They're saying he's healthy. I look at the team and I just say, yo, this team should be in the playoff. I truly feel that way. I don't see 6-6. I hate it. Yeah, I think they win at least 9 games. I really do. DJ Lagway into year 2. Talent is there, but Florida's still young, bowl eligible, but that's it. That's ESPN's take. Y'all know what I wanted to say, man. FOH, man. GTFOH. That's crazy. That's real crazy. Another crazy take by ESPN. Arkansas Razorbacks 6-6. Hey, young. Arkansas go 6-6. They deserve it. Sam Pittman deserves to stay another year. I know we've been trying, not we, because I like Sam Pittman, but they've been trying to fire Sam Pittman for years, but I don't think they sniff at 6 games, bro. I really don't. I don't see them winning 6 games this year. I just don't see it. Offensive line is still a concern. Pittman needs to win to avoid the hot seat. And he's already on the hot seat. I think he needs to win to avoid being fired. I think we're past the hot seat at ESPN. Where are we going? What are we doing with this? Where are we? Seriously, where do y'all get this stuff from? Like, where do y'all make this up at, man? I don't know, but absolutely not. They're not winning 6 games. They're not winning 5 games. They lucky if they win 4. Just being real, man. No, Arkansas is not winning 6 games. Kentucky 6-6. Missed first bowl game under Stoops. Stoops has done a great job restoring the roar in Kentucky football. He really has. Nearly a decade. Zach Calzada is a guy a lot of people forgot about. I remember some of the playing time he got during the 2022 season at Notre Dame. He got some pivotal playing time, and I thought he was a quarterback for the future. And then I think he transferred to Arizona State. That didn't work out. I actually forgot about him last season. I don't even know where he was at. So we'll see if he'll be the guy quarterback. Kentucky, I'll allow it. I'm a huge Mark Stoops fan. They just lost the guy who just became I forgot his name, just became the GM at Louisville. So that's a huge loss for the roster. But 6-6, okay. Vanderbilt 5-7. I can see it. Last season was magical with Diego Pavia. It'll just be interesting to see if they can be bowl eligible again. But the team I probably disagree with most, other than Florida, because I disagree, with ESPN's Florida take 100%. But Mississippi State, I think Jeff Lebby and company going to figure out for that team in Starkville. I truly do. I really do. Lebby's rebuilding the roster. These are ESPN comments. A continuous after 2-10 debut, Shapen back at quarterback, but the roster's thin. Shapen had 8 touchdowns, 1 interception before he got hurt in the game against Florida. Not in the game, but on the season. He only got hurt, third game of the season maybe? So you look at what he was able to do and how he produced during the spring season of spring of 2024. Blake Shapen works really well in Jeff Lebby's offense. I think they are going to be on the cusp of a bowl game. 4-8, I don't deem that it's on the cusp. I look at somebody that's 5-7 that's on the cusp of a team that can possibly be bowl eligible. Mississippi State will be on the cusp. I feel better about Mississippi State than I do about Arkansas. And that, even though Arkansas, I think, has a more talented roster, I do agree with that. But I am a fan of Jeff Lebby. And taking over that Mississippi State team after, God bless the dead, the great Mike Leach passed away, and then Zach Arnett was there for a year. We know what type of joke show that was while he was there. It's just, I don't know. So that's ESPN's season predictions. Some of them, Georgia, and Texas being in the SEC championship, I can see it. Alabama on the cusp. Florida at 6-6 is crazy. That's crazy. I just don't agree with that at all. I really don't. So let's get into our next topic. We're going to go into a Governor's Rewind. This is a fun one. Governor's Rewind, Lindy Sports, a look back. I love this time of year because it's magazine season. I've always loved magazine season. And since, I can remember being a fan of college football, I always remember buying college football magazines. I've just always bought them. So this year I bought Phil Stills. I got that digitally. I got to call Barnes & Noble to see when it's in store so I can go purchase the regular copy as well. I'm doing a lot of traveling over the next couple of months with media days. I told you guys about the docuseries that we're doing with Toledo. So I go to Toledo for about a week, actually a little over a week. So these college football magazines, and Lindy's is the one, I've been kind of looking at today. Probably for later on episode, we'll be going through Athlon Sports a lot. And we'll cover some other stuff. Because don't forget, we're going live twice today. We're still going live at 4. Don't forget about that. I'm still giving y'all 4-hour shows this week, even though I didn't go live yesterday. So they did a look back, and it was something that I was just scrolling through. Like sometimes I'll get bored and I'll just scroll through a magazine, even though I probably look at it front and back. But I caught something that they had at the very end called the look back. And Governor's Rewind segment is one of my favorite segments. This is actually a segment that Moon created because me and him talk college football. We talk shop all the time. And then I tell him about players I remember growing up. He's like, yo, you really need to do a Governor's Rewind segment. So that's how this segment came about. Moon came up with that. And he threw me an alley. So Governor's Rewind, Lindy Sports, a look back. History doesn't just repeat in college football. It haunts, it inspires, and sometimes it even warns. Let's rewind the clock and see how the game has changed or evolved over the last 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and even 50 years. Lindy Sports gave us the blueprint. I'm here just to narrate the madness. Alrighty, so 5 years ago, think about where were you at 5 years ago? What were you doing? How were you feeling? I know 5 years ago, it was a tumultuous time for me personally, being that it was the pandemic, how nervous I was during that time. I actually was staying with my parents at that time. Did not want them going to the grocery store at all, so I would go grocery shopping for them, and that was brutal because I got them type of parents, like, when I go shop for a week, but it's mostly my dad, bro. It don't even be my mom. My mom be on the same type of time I'm on. But my dad, like, he don't want to go to the grocery store every day. I'm like, yo, why you ain't tell me about this yesterday? Well, no, son. I wish I could hear my father talk. That's how he talk. Like, nah, son. Nah. So I go. I'm like, you got everything you want on this list? Yeah. Why you keep asking me that? And then tomorrow, oh yeah, I forgot. Can you go to the store and pick up this? I'm like, bro, I was just at the store yesterday, but it was COVID. I ain't want my parents out there. But one of the major things that happened for me during that time period, and the only thing I found kind of sanity and safety with was NCAA 14. And this was before I was privy to the revamped community. And shout out to the revamped community because they kept their game alive. So I was actually streaming NCAA football 14. That was my saving grace. That's how I met a lot of the people that I know now. I met Jalen. He became part of my community. Moon, he became part of my community. Our boy Brad, Steve. That's how I met all these dudes just playing NCAA 14 during the pandemic because we ain't had no sports on. I mean, on television, they were showing marble races. Esports came to the forefront, trying to save the day. But it was just rough because I think we went 100 days without sports, before the NBA came back. And then the NBA, before they did their bubble, they did like a preseason or something like that. I remember being excited about that. But a college football season that I kind of deleted out of my memory was the 2020 season. And I know I sound spoiled when I say what I'm about to say, but like I don't think I realized how much the pageantry of this sport meant to me. Of course the game is exciting, Saturdays are always amazing, but not seeing the fans or watching these stadiums empty, like a Jordan here empty, a Bryant Denny Stadium empty, like just something just didn't feel right about that. It just didn't. So like the 2020 season is like a season I've truly blacked out, and it's almost intentional, I think, because of my love for this game. And maybe I didn't realize it's not just the sport of football that I love, it's the pageantry of college football that I love so much. So let's get into what Lindy Sports had to say about the 2020 season. I was just giving my remarks and what I remember. Not even a global pandemic could stop Alabama from unleashing one of the most dominant seasons in modern college football history. Nick Saban's Crimson Tide steamrolled the SEC with an average margin of victory of over 30 points. Mac Jones was surgical. Devontae Smith became a Heisman legend. And Najee Harris was a cheat code. College football playoff final. Bama 52, Ohio State 24. Final AP top 5. Alabama 13-0 was 1. Clemson was 2. Ohio State was 3. Texas A&M was 4. And Notre Dame was 5. Heisman, the top 3 was Devontae Smith. Of course, he won it. Trevor Lawrence came in 2nd. Mac Jones came in 3rd. So this was peak Alabama. Like I said, it was a really good team, and I wish this happened during a normal time period and not the time period that it happened in. But like I said, that the 2020 season, I don't remember much from it. And I don't talk about it much just because I just don't remember much from it. I think I was kind of, were we covering? I think we might have been covering the NFL more than with the company I was with previously. But even then, I've always liked college football more than NFL. It was something weird about the game. Let's take a look back 10 years ago. See how much the game has evolved since then. So 2015 is another Bama year. Derrick Henry's hammer. Year 2 of the playoff format brought revenge for Alabama. After falling short in 2014, they came back and wrecked Michigan State 38-0 in the semifinal before outlasting Clemson 45-40 in a thriller. Derrick Henry carried the ball like he was dragging Alabama to the title himself. The final AP top 5. This is 2015. Alabama 14-1, Clemson 14-1. Stanford 12-2, Ohio State 12-1, Oklahoma 11-2. Heisman top 3, Derrick Henry, Alabama 2, Christian McCaffrey, Stanford, and then Deshaun Watson 3 at Clemson. This was a really good year for college football. It really was. It was year 2 of the playoff era. We're still kind of figuring out what it all meant, if I'm being honest. Like I said, this was a really good year for college football. Derrick Henry definitely deserved a Heisman. I don't even think it was close that year. Christian McCaffrey did have a really good season at Stanford, and Deshaun Watson was him at Clemson. I was rooting for Clemson a lot back then, to be honest with you. 15 years ago, the video we have on screen, that was the year of Cam Newton. Yo, that 2010 was crazy, bro. 2010 was such a great year. It was such a fun year. If you didn't witness Cam Newton's 2010, I feel bad for you. I really do. His story just resonated with me so much. We all love a good underdog story or a comeback story or the rag to riches story. Like if you think about some of your favorite movies, and if you love sports like I do, Like, Rocky, you gotta love the Rocky series, right? I think there's certain not any social medias, but like GroupMe is an application that a lot of people use for businesses and stuff. I got a picture of Rocky as one of those. So I do love the underdog story, the hero story. And I mean, heading into that season, who had Auburn winning the national championship? Absolutely no one, in my opinion. So that year, Cam Newton, I think, made a lot of younger fans fall in love with college football. Final AP top 5, Auburn 14-0, TCU 13-0, Oregon 12-1, Stanford 12-1, Ohio State 12-1. Heisman top 3, Cam Newton, Andrew Luck, and LaMichael James was so cold, dog. It's unfortunate Oregon didn't win that year, but LaMichael James, Kenyon Bonner, bro, I love that 1-2 punch, bro. Michael James was cold, and it's crazy because I think his game will probably translate better now than it did when he went to the NFL back then. Especially, I think he got drafted by the 49ers, and that running back room was crowded. But LaMichael James was cold, bro. If you remember LaMichael James, he was cold. And then 20 years ago, that was Vince Young's destiny. Greatest college football game I've ever seen, and I always tell this, was the national championship between USC and Texas. That's kind of got Rocky vibes too, because USC, and I think in many people's minds, were supposed to win that game, and then they just played uncharacteristic. We remember the lateral that Reggie Bush did, that ended up, resulting in a fumble. That was a good year. My favorite college football game ever is NCAA 06. It's my favorite game. The music for that game was phenomenal. The game was fun. I remember, I think it was going to my second year of college. I think that's when I left Bowie State and headed to Salisbury, and that was just a great year, man. The music was great in general, outside of the game, but on the game, the music was great. There was a lot of fun teams to use. It was like Brad Smith was at Missouri, who played quarterback then. He was fun to use. I used to use Penn State because Derek Williams, who's the number 1 recruit in 2005, I went to high school with him, so it was dope seeing him on the game. Derek Harvey was down at Florida. It was dope seeing him on the game. I also went to high school with him as well, so it was just kind of just a game where it was kind of cool actually seeing people that actually knew in the game. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, NCAA 06 my favorite NCAA ever. But Vince Young, that year was magical. It was written like a Hollywood script. I agree with that 100%. USC had won 34 straight. Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart were gods. Man, Reggie Bush had that 619, the eye black joint, man. Reggie Bush was cold, bro. Reggie Bush was like that. Then Vince Young, who moonwalked into the Rose Bowl and handed USC a heartbreak on a silver platter, 476 total yards and the greatest championship performance of all time. Said that's the best college football game I've ever seen. Final AP top 5, Texas 13-0, USC 12-1, Penn State 11-1, Ohio State 10-2, West Virginia 11-1. West Virginia was a really good team that year too. Heisman type top 3, Reggie Bush, who won the Heisman. Vince Young came in second. But, it's like Reggie Bush won a battle, but Vince Young won the war, and Matt Leinart came in third. So, like I said, love that year. It was a great year for college football. 25 years ago, 2000, Stoops, Saban, and the Uprising. Bob Stoops put Oklahoma back on the map with a wild undefeated season capped by 13-2 slugfest with over Florida State. This was also Nick Saban's first year at LSU. A new wave was coming. Meanwhile, Chris Winkie became one of the oldest Heisman winners. I remember that being funny as a kid. And young Josh Heupel was already outslinging expectations. Final AP top 5, Oklahoma. This is BCS era for you guys. The last one was as well. Miami 11-1, Washington 11-1, Oregon State 11-1, Florida State 11-2. Heisman top 3, Chris Winkie, Josh Heupel, and Drew Brees from Purdue. He was a slugger. Drew Brees and Josh Heupel in the same race is crazy. That is vintage for sure. So we done look back 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25 years. Let's take it back 50 years ago. 1970s, the Griffin repeat. Archie Griffin did the impossible back-to-back Heisman. No one has done it since him. Woody Hayes was still stalking sidelines at Ohio State. This was the era of the brutal fullback dive, soul-crushing defenses and players with real-life jobs in the offseason. But Archie, he was smooth, powerful, and legendary. AP final top 5, Oklahoma 11-1, Arizona State 12-0, Alabama 11-1, Michigan 8-2-2, UCLA 9-2-1. Thank God we don't have ties anymore. Heisman top 3, Archie Griffin, running back, Ohio State Chuck Muncie, running back Cal, Ricky Bell, running back USC. So that's our Governor's Rerun. We only got 6 minutes left for this show, and it's always happening. We're not taking no ad breaks today. Let's get right into it. Let's go to Around the Nation. And for our Around the Nation segment, we are going to look at Lindy Sports Big 12. I think it's Big 12. They're all Big 12 team. I got beef with this. I really do. And I love the magazine. I get the magazine every year, but I got beef with this. Some of y'all can predict where I'm about to have beef with this at. So we're going to go over each team, and then we will go over how I feel about it. All right. So magazine season, y'all guys already know how I feel. Like this week and next week, I think next week we'll cap off magazine season. But we're talking about college football magazines, man. Shout out to these companies, man. Make sure y'all go buy these magazines, man. Go support these companies, man. They make a lot of money. They put a lot of hard work into this. And if you're a fan of the sport and want to become more knowledgeable about the sport, go cop these magazines, please. All right, so all Big 12 first team. This is Lindy Sports. It ain't mine. I'm gonna tell y'all that right now. Sam Levitt, Arizona State. Running backs, I love the running back combination. Bryson Washington from Baylor and Dylan Edwards, Kansas State. Dylan Edwards is going to have a season this year, I promise you. Wide receivers, Jordan Tyson, Arizona State, and Josh Cameron, Baylor. Fans of both of those guys. Tight end, Tanner Cozzoli from Houston. By the way of Wisconsin. By the way of Ball State. I just thought I should mention that. Offensive lineman, Bryce Foster, Kansas. Spencer Fano, Utah. Fano is one of the best offensive linemen in all of college football. Jordan Seaton, Colorado. Max and Hanker, Arizona State, and Caleb Lemieux, Utah. All-purpose, Josh Cameron, Baylor. He's dynamic in the return game. And then place kicker is Will Farron, BYU. Defense, David Bailey. This is still first team, Texas Tech. Dominic Orange, Iowa State. He's on everybody's watch list. Dante Corleone, Cincinnati. He's on everybody's watch list. Dean Miller, Kansas. Linebackers, Austin Romaine, Kansas State. Jacob Rodriguez, a great player on a terrible defense last year, but that kid is a tackling machine. My phone won't stop going off. Jesus Christ. And Landon Barton, Utah. DBs are Bud Clark, TCU. John Tez Williams, Iowa State. Jeremiah Cooper, Iowa State. Xavier Alford, Arizona State. Punter, Paul Williams. So this is the first team. I ain't going to even get to where I got beef at. I'm just going to continue to read these off until we get to that point. All Big 12 second team. We got Rocco Beck at quarterback. Huge Rocco Beck guy. Jaheim White, West Virginia. With Rich Rod, watch out for Jaheim White this year. That's all I want to say. Daniel Highshaw, Kansas. Wide receivers, Caleb Douglas, Texas Tech. Chase Roberts, BYU. Tight end, Joe Royer, Cincinnati. Offensive lineman, we got Ben Coleman, Arizona State. Howard Sampson, Texas Tech. Davion Carter, Texas Tech. Omar Egbedin, I don't know how you say his name, Baylor. And Tanoa Togai, Utah. All-purpose Ishmael Mahi, that's Arizona. And then place kicker Lath Margin, that's Kansas State. Defense, who's still second team, Lee Hunter, Houston. Lee Hunter, Houston. What else we got? Jackie Marshall, Baylor. CJ Fight, Arizona State. Arden Walker, Colorado. Linebackers, Keaton Thompson, Baylor. Isaac Glasgow, BYU. Keyshawn Elliott, Arizona State. Defensive backs, Genesis Smith, Arizona. Smith Snowden, Utah. G.J. McKinney, Kansas State. V.J. Payne, Kansas State. Place kicker is Tyler Perkins, Iowa State. This is Lindy's. I haven't got to my thoughts yet. Oh, Big 12 third team. I'm trying to get through them before I get to mine because I'm getting upset that I think about it. Josh Hoover, TCU. So, damn. Sawyer Robertson, he ain't a top 3 quarterback in the Big 12, huh, man? That's crazy. LJ Martin, BYU. I thought he'd be a little bit higher. Carson Hansen, Iowa State. Eric McAllister, TCU, should have been higher on this list. Shouldn't be on the third team. Chase Brown, Kansas State. Tight end Terrence Carter Jr., Texas Tech. Michael Trigg ain't on here either, huh? He ain't make neither one of the teams. Okay. Sam Hecht, Kansas State. Carson Bruno, this is the offensive line, TCU. Taylor Portier, Kansas State. Kobe Baines, Kansas. Ryan Lengyel, Baylor. All-purpose Emmanuel Henderson, Kansas. Place kicker Steven Runznak, Cincinnati. Third team defense. Nigel Kelly, UCF. Damian Ialio, Kansas State. Devian Dill, Arizona State. Clayton Smith, BYU. Linebackers Jack Kelly, TCU. Caleb Elarms Orr, Arizona. Malik Charles, Oklahoma State. Jaquan Shanks, Cincinnati. Dalton Johnson, Colorado. Preston Hodge, Arizona State. Cole Winniski, Texas, West Paul, Oklahoma State. So these are my biggest gripes with this, as we are now at an hour for this show. We about to end this episode. So Lindy Sport, it wasn't bad overall, but Sawyer Robertson didn't make a first, second, or third team. Like, get real, bro. He's the best quarterback in the Big 12. He ain't made none of those teams. Okay, Lindy Sports, y'all gonna regret that. I'm pointing at y'all right now. Y'all gonna regret that. Sawyer Robertson is the real deal. Y'all gonna regret that. Michael Trigg. I know y'all gonna say, oh, look at him walking in Waco again. Michael Trigg, tight end at Baylor. He ain't make none of the first 3 teams. That's crazy. Not 1, not 2, not 3, huh? That's crazy. Xavier Hill, offensive lineman. He could have been on the first team. Yeah, this is crazy. So overall, not bad. I'm just saying those are just 3 players that I felt like should have been higher up on the list. And 2, I think none of them were on the list. So that was crazy to me. But fun episode, man. Just so everybody, so we all crystal clear. Do not forget. Please don't forget. We're going live again today at 4 p.m. Don't forget about that. Same bad time, same bad channel. We will be back 4 p.m. I got another show for y'all. Y'all will get episode 40 at 4 p.m. Also tonight over at CFB Nation, we're doing Overreaction Monday. It's a jam-packed day, man. Y'all make sure y'all enjoy yourselves. Come back at 4 o'clock. We live again, man. We're going to run it up, man. Y'all take care. Governor of college football. We're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's CJ
great defensive minds. They have to be better on that side of the ball.